What is up, Patreon? Obviously, if you're my patron, you're seeing this first. And if you are a YouTube subscriber, you'll probably see this second or third. Because Patreon always sees it first. So shout out to my patrons. I did want to make a video about a topic. I'm sure I've made a video about it before, like years ago. But I wanted to revisit this because I know there's a lot of stuff online and it's very trendy and we'll get into it. But first off, can we appreciate this beat? Can we appreciate this makeup? I woke up early to film some things and then I took off the clothes and put back something on comfortable, veiled all over again and put my scarf off on all over again so I could rest for a little bit and then get up and get other stuff done in the house because there is much to do. And but yeah, I just thought it was funny because I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys never see me on this platform like some type of did up. And today, so pretty. Today I'm wearing makeup. I'm allowed to say that, and I'm allowed to say that I like it and it's pretty. I think we need to normalize that. Normalize saying nice things about yourself and meaning it and being the person who's your fan. Normalize being your own biggest fan. Normalize cheering yourself on. But what I wanted to talk about today was tools. I see a lot of like videos about craftsmanship and witchcraft, and they say, oh, intention isn't everything. It's all about your craftsmanship and your tools. That's why it's called the craft. Yes, I get you. And to a very certain extent, I agree. I would say this. When people say that your intention is everything, I think they're more so saying having a determined, like an I said what I said kind of energy with your intention, is what is the most important piece. Like if you have a recipe with set ingredients, the most important ingredient is going to be that intention, because without that intention, you just have a bunch of stuff that you put together to create a mess that you put on the counter or you put on your altar or that you sat outside in front of the moon or whatever. So someone posted some ritual with the moon and the sun because we've got our full moon Aquarius on the 23rd. It's also the start of Leo season, and it's a really great time to just step into your own power and to know that you are capable and to know that everything you've been working so hard for, everything that is due, like things are due. It's time. It's crunch time. It's time to answer. That like we're bringing the gavel down. Justice is about to be served in a way. It's a great time for that. And I didn't come over here to make an astrological prediction, but I probably should because I think not a lot of people are talking about it, and maybe they should. But anyway, back to this post. So this guy makes this post and he has this whole ritual where you basically just think really hard about your intention, and then you like turn around, you face moon, and then you face the sun, and then you walk away. But while you're doing that, you're like thinking this intention, and like that makes it set in stone. And immediately all the comments underneath this post are like, this is so lazy, da 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 da, blah 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 blah. Here's what I will tell you. A lot of spiritual practices, religions, etc., they talk about prayer. They talk about speech. So I would argue that that's not lazy. I have the gift of gab, aka I'm someone who is well spoken. I do not have a problem standing in front of a big group of people, opening my mouth and communicating a clear thought and idea. I don't have a problem doing that because that is one of my talents. That is one of my gifts. A lot of people don't necessarily have that gift. There are people who can't take phone calls. There are people who just can't bring themselves to sing a song, to write a love letter, to even write a to-do list, or to use their words, use their communication skills. So for someone to muster the courage and the capacity to be able to do that, for them, that's not laziness. For them, they are using their tools. For them, they are stepping out of their box, because not everybody is good at speaking. I know that sounds really crazy, but think about your friends who never speak. Think about your friends who have a lot of pent up feelings, and maybe they never talk about it because either they don't want to, or they don't know how, or they just feel so much and they can't even put it into words, you know, or they're feeling insecure about it, or they don't feel like they can trust and open up to anybody. So having that moment of honesty and that moment of courage for some people is very powerful. Like, not all of us want to spend thousands of dollars on crystals, fancy notepads, calligraphy pens, candles, different types of matches and burners, different oils and herbs and stuff like that. Like, not everybody is in a position to do that. Not everybody feels comfortable doing that. And I'm gonna talk about like Christianity, for example. I grew up going to churches, and they had their book, and they had a bunch of people in a room. They had the book, the Bible. They had a bunch of people in a room talking, singing, dancing. They were using their gifts. They were using their talents, because that's what they brought to the table. That's what was bestowed upon them. Those were their tools. They didn't come in. I mean, and some churches have candles and things like that, or oil, like anointed oil, and prayer cloths and veiling. So there are other tools like that too. So this is probably not the best example, but consider when you drive off and you go to a trip with your friends, or you're in college and you're alone, and let's say you need to pray to God. You may not sit there and whip out a pen and paper. It might not be your first instinct. Your first instinct might just be to really get to that quiet place in your mind and say, God, I need you. So yes, I understand that part of craft and crafting a practice that is craft based is based off of actually putting something together. I think it's not fair to villainize the person who maybe isn't taking those steps, and vice versa. If someone wants to take those steps and make something physical, make it manifest, make it something they can touch, I think that's very powerful, because now you're kind of giving what you said and what you want a receipt. You know what I'm saying? Like, proof that you said it, proof that you did it. How do you know? It's on this piece of paper, or it's underneath this rock, or whatever. But then there are people who maybe that's not their instinct, and that doesn't connect to them, that doesn't feel real to them. Or maybe they're not financially in a situation to where they can do things like that, or they simply just don't want to do things like that, and it doesn't make anything that they do spiritually less valid. There's so many times where I communicate telepathically, aka thinking really hard in my mind, to and from a deity, to and from my God, or to and from an angel, or to and from an ancestor, because I'm in an environment where if I speak out loud what I want to say, I'm going to disrupt the people around me. It's not the right environment. It's inappropriate. Maybe it's no one's damn business. You know, there's so many reasons why someone doesn't open their mouth in the middle of a crowded room to talk to God, or to talk to their ancestors, or whoever. So even just thinking, and I'm good at that. Like I said, my throat chakra is activated and blessed. I can think a clear, singular thought and focus it in, and I don't get distracted. I can hold very strong intentions, very determined, very clear intentions. So that is something I've practiced, and that's something I can do. But that's not everybody. So in a way, I just feel like no one's talking about that on the internet. No one's really talking about, who has those gifts and who doesn't. I don't think we acknowledge being able to speak and being able to communicate, not just verbally, but in the written word and thought process wise. We don't acknowledge that as a type of gift. We just assume everyone can do it, when in reality, there's such a large population of people that don't have that, or they have it, but they haven't really grasped it yet. They haven't honed in that ability to think clearly and to focus. Maybe their mind runs a million miles a minute, or maybe they don't feel comfortable speaking because they're truly that's not their strong suit. Or when they pray, they say they pray, but they don't really pray, because the reality is they don't know how to, in their mind, communicate that way. It's not something they're good at. It's not like riding a bike or learning to walk for them. Like, they just don't know. And they don't know that they don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So if you're new to any type of spiritual practice, whatever it's associated with or affiliation, don't feel like you have to break the bank and spend a bunch of money. practice those skills, because you're not going to know if you have them until you do. And it's okay to practice without tools at first. It's okay to start by training your mind, training your thought patterns, training your speech. And then I would say that if you really want to know what are the first tools to buy, a pen and paper. You may not even have to buy one. You could probably find one. Someone will probably gift one to you. Right place, right time, divine timing. You could even scribble what you want in the sand, what you want in the dirt. I don't know. I've never been in a position in my life where I didn't have access to something as simple as pen and paper. But let's say someone's down on their luck. Let's say someone's circumstances are so dire as to not even having that. Find access, find a way to write the words down, because maybe you don't feel comfortable speaking out loud. And if you live in a place that's really dusty and sandy, it's really great because the wind will blow it away and it will be swept away into the atmosphere, and it's kind of private in that way because it doesn't stay there, versus when you write something down in a book, someone can always find your book and be like, what the heck is this? So definitely hone that in. And when I talk about like throat chakra work, I just mean like the ability to communicate and learn, and to focus an intention, to focus an idea, and to stay clear on your path of thought, and vice versa, to understand and interpret a message in a focused, clear way. It's not blurry, it's not cryptic, it's not confusing for you. It's like a back and forth. It's coming from here in this part of the body. So practice that. Don't let anyone make you feel like shit about that, or make you feel like you have to spend thousands of dollars and buy fancy furniture so you can have this big altar set up, because not everyone is in a place to do that. That's all I wanted to say. I came on here to talk about that and to talk about the sun and the moon. So hopefully this post finds you well. Hopefully this is helpful and enlightening to some people. I don't know who on YouTube would benefit from this, but I look forward to hearing from you. Every now and then I get a comment that's not an advertisement, and it's always like, a little spark of joy. So hope you guys are doing well. Bless.